Open. And we are back live here in Tucson, Arizona. Opening serve right there with John Bike up against Abraham Montijo. This is the qualifying round for the Doug Clark bracket. The winner of this one will go into the top 12 of the race for 8. John Bike qualified at the last pro stop. Abraham Montijo did not.
Tommy and Sean Lenny. 0-0.
Score is 0-0. Abraham Montijo lives here in Tucson, Arizona. John Bike lived here in Tucson for quite some time, now in the high desert of Hesperia, California. Abraham Montijo looked very sharp in his opening round this morning. Score is 1-0.
Abraham's serve looked really good this morning, Dave. Dismantling Daniel Cordova in a match that a lot of people, Dave, including myself, thought would be very close. It wasn't.
I agree with you. I really thought that Cordova had a chance to be tied at about 20 when they went to the home stretch to see who gets to 25. And after that, I wasn't going to predict anything, but it was far from it.
But you're predicting it was going to be 20-20, just not the outcome of the match.
I felt that Abe would win, but I didn't want to make that claim. But I didn't realize that Dan Cordova would only score 3 points going to 25. That was the unpredictable part.
Daniel Cordova nearly upset Chip Morales last year. And look at that beautiful serve from Abe. That's what we saw this morning, but nearly upset Chip Morales at the HBC2 6 months ago, taking him to a tiebreaker. Chip Morales and Abe pretty comparable, Dave, and it was Abe just throttling Daniel Cordova. And now it's Abe off to a great start here against the Hall of Famer, John Bike. John Bike, Dave, much like Phil Mickelson, still an active pro, but inducted into the Hall of Fame in his mid-40s, early 40s. I know you hate my cross-sports references. That's why I make them.
Abe set up for John Bike.
Abe would never say this, Dave, but he has been injured, and I know, Dave, you know that. Sparring with him in Tucson and also speaking with him occasionally, that he's had a bad right shoulder that he's been nursing and rehabbing, hasn't been playing much because of it. And we know John Bike has had problems with his left shoulder.
Abraham has a strain, and he's gone to the doctor a couple times, and they told him to lay off, so he's just not playing handball. But yet, you watched him play earlier, and here early, he looks really good. I mean, his arm looks really strong right now.
Well, Dave, telling a handball player to lay off is like telling you to not go to dessert.
It's almost impossible, is what you're trying to say.
It is impossible.
Earlier today, Armando Ortiz qualified by defeating Andrew Shad, and it was Luis Cordova over Dan Armijo, 25-20 in his qualifying round. And now it's Abraham Montijo taking on the veteran, John Bike, and there's a packed crowd out there watching this.
Abe is very well respected here, Dave, at this Tucson Racket Club. He does so much for kids, and he's also a great player. He's one of the top 20 players in the world, Dave. Despite losing to 68-year-old Gary Scoggin just about a year and a half ago.
Well, unfortunately for Bike, here's the intel that I have on him. He felt incredible coming into this tournament, very prepared, more so than he said he's felt since being in his 40s. His first round match was a walkover. He felt, you know, very confident playing Victor Espinoza, but he said he was just warming up, stretching, and pulled something in his back. And now he feels like his back is completely out, and he's hoping that he can work it out. And you can see by his body English that intel is true. And I talked to him earlier, and I said, how do you feel? And he said, you know, what's really bad, you feel like you're 100%, and all of a sudden you make one little tiny move wrong, and everything unravels. And I said, that's being 45.
Sometimes, Dave, you can actually overstretch. A lot of these older players spend so much time stretching, they can actually hurt themselves stretching. Younger guys don't stretch at all. And you can definitely see the difference now with John Bike, Dave, in his movement, his footwork. He's not able to let the ball drop at all.
2-7.
Let's not forget, Dave, though, that in Idaho, Dave, at race stop number 1, John Bike defeating Dan Armijo to qualify, and it seemed like you wouldn't have anything the next day. Couldn't even walk that night. Couldn't even sit down at the dinner table, yet came out the next day and looked really sharp.
Well, he said it sometimes will happen and work itself out in the middle of a match. So this is where that 25-point game probably doesn't help him. He's trying to stretch his back here as he does his shoelaces. Abraham Montijo building that nice lead up 7-2. Now at 8-2.
Abe telling me that he actually goes for that crack on the right side wall, aims just about an inch high with reverse because the reverse keeps the ball down when it hits the sidewall. The danger is catching that sidewall too high like he did there.
That's a beautiful shot right there from John Bike. You've seen that for many years, Dave.
But John doesn't want to make that low to high swing. He'd rather bend, Dave, and be able to swing sidearm, as he says, keeping his elbow and fingers on the same plane. And that's what John can do, though, Dave. Up in the front court, he's got those incredibly soft hands, as you see often with guys with so much power. They also have the soft hands up front because you need those soft hands, Dave, to generate the power. That's what a lot of people don't realize. And now John Bike seemingly not at his best right now, trailing just 6-8. John Bike now serving with his right hand, and he's got such a great serve with that left. He can hop the ball either way. Abe's fans call him Rocky, Dave, because that's the way he plays. He's a warrior in there. He goes in there, and it's not always pretty, but he just battles till the very end, Dave. And we saw him on this court at the HBC2 against Carlos Chavez, completely cramped up, couldn't even run, couldn't bend to pick up the ball, and yet still managed to win that match, albeit Carlos Chavez also cramping up. But that's what happens, Dave, when Abe Montijo plays. It's just a incredible battle. It's not the smoothest or the most awe-inspiring handball, but it's effective handball. He's one of those guys that just keeps coming forward. I guess I'm on an island on that one.
I'm just listening to you. It's like poetry, listening to you talk.
There's the Hall of Famer's father, Mr. Bike.
7-8.
John Bike down by 1 here, 7-8.
It never gets old, Dave, for these handball dads to watch their prodigies in action.
Even if the prodigy is 45.
That's a terrible shot there from John Bike and a worse shot there from Abe Montijo. And it looks to me, Dave, like John Bike's back has loosened up just a little bit. That's the first full swing I've seen him take with that left hand. Disappointed with himself there because he didn't shoot that left-handed shot, but I think that's encouraging for Seattle WAC teammates and Seattle WAC fans that John Bike now swinging out with that left hand.
Seven, eight.
And that's been the knock, Dave, with Abe Montijo, is that he uses that three-wall shot too much. He actually passes up on offensive opportunities to wrap the ball. That may work, Dave, at the local or club level, but it won't work at the top of the pro game.
Well, the reason why it works locally in some of the tournaments around here is because Abe keeps the pressure on you and keeps that ball into play, and eventually some of those that are not in good shape just wear out really quick because he's constantly hitting these wraps, and you're having to go and do these sharp angles around the corners. But a guy like John Bike knows how to neutralize power. He plays with Naughty Jr. and John Robles and Waddy Dog, Chris Watkins. So he knows how to get rid of a guy that can throw the ball around in corners like Abe does.
And that's a beautiful kill there from Abe. John Bike had ended 5 consecutive points with kill shots.
8-10.
And John Bike looks really good now, Dave. And you saw the variety in John's game during that 5-point run as he ended rallies with hard kills and also those soft paddle kills.
9-10.
Those paddle kills, he actually allows the ball to run through his hand.
One serve.
John misses his 3-wall shot there, and Abe with a 2-wall pass shot attempt caught the sidewall a little bit too short, right into John's wheelhouse, but John skips it. You always want to hit that 2-wall pass, Dave, behind your opponent. You want to catch that sidewall behind where your opponent is standing. That way it's either an offensive shot or it puts them in a retrieving position.
10 all. Short. One serve.
Abe Montijo, Dave, a student at the University of Arizona here in Tucson. He'll be graduating this summer, the summer of 2012, studying public administration. John Bike, also in the school system, Dave, but he's a teacher.
Second serve.
And I went to school twice. Forgot my coat.
Terrible shot there from John. Is just a little bit too casual. Didn't have his feet in place.
Boy, now that's 2 quick points right there. And John has to be frustrated with himself. He's just giving Abraham points here. 12 serves 10. There's that good serve from Abe down the right wall.
And you're right, Dave. John not able to return 2 consecutive serves. Neither serve all that great from Abraham. And in a match, Dave, this close, those 2 points could be the difference.
You saw a great angle right there of an amazing serve if John can get that over the line.
But that's the problem. Seems like most of John's biggest hops, particularly the power serves down the right, are always short. And you see John really loading up there on that left-handed return, drives the ball at Abe's feet with a big hop. Abe can only stick his hand out there and flip the ball back to the front wall with nothing on it, and John comes in and ends the rally with a beautiful kill.
Point.
Great finesse play there from John Bike as he slides that ball down the left side wall.
11-12.
John looks like he's in a lot of pain here, Dave.
Ball broke. We've seen that a few times here during this tournament. This is the 3rd broken ball, I believe. These guys are also cracking this ball, Dave.
John is really laboring here right now, Dave. I wouldn't be surprised if he called it quits here. I mean, I know he's only trailing by a point here, but he just looks like he's in so much pain, even on the points he's winning. Generally, Dave, when a player is injured, we see them in a lot of pain when they lose points and not so much pain when they win points. But with John, he's wincing with every step. He's wincing with every swing. And you can even see it there. Just standing there, Dave, is challenging for him.
And
Hate
this
to
is
see my
again, this happened, Dave, when he was just stretching right here in the room that we're at. He tweaked something in his back and said, you know, it's almost not fair. I didn't ask him what the injury was, but then found out later it was his back.
You can see the look of dejection on John's face, not because he missed that shot, Dave, but because I believe the injury that he sustained just warming up for this match. I know, Dave, that you stubbed your toe last night on the way to the ice cream truck, but you kept going. Didn't stop you.
I have a figure to maintain, Dave.
It's true, you are shapely.
I'm actually getting into shape. Round is a shape.
Beautiful one-wall pass there from John. Normally, Dave, you try and hit the two-wall pass, but that time drives the ball behind Abe, checks up on the floor into the right side wall, and
it kind of skipped around that back wall.
I would
Abe
call
unable
that a check squelch.
Abe was totally unable to get that ball as it jotted back out toward the center of the court.
The problem with Abraham, Dave, generally you see him playing to the level of his competition. And right now, John Bike, although a Hall of Famer, not really anywhere near the top of his game with that injury.
One serve.
We've seen Abraham nearly defeat Luis Moreno on numerous occasions, narrowly defeat Sean Lenning, but never actually win any of those matchups. But yet you'll see him play other guys, Dave, where he's dropping down to their level, which could be 5 or 6 levels below those top guys.
12-12.
Abe needs to find a way to play that game that is almost good enough to beat Sean Lenning and Luis Moreno and bring it into matches like this. Let's not forget, Dave, that there is an intimidation factor for Abraham playing against one of his idols, John Bike.
Now, was it John Bike who played Abraham and defeated Abe to qualify for the USHA to go to Detroit a few years back, or a year ago, here in Tucson? I believe that was the case where John defeated Abraham here, but I might be wrong.
You could be right there. I actually was not at that event. I know that it was Armando Ortiz and Chip Morales playing in the finals of that qualifier. But I think you're saying, Dave, that the semifinalists also qualified?
Yes.
Well, John Bike was one of those qualifiers because he lost Armando Ortiz in the semifinals there, so he could very well have beaten Abe in that event. I know Abe did not qualify for Detroit. And John really laboring now as can't bend. And the players were informed, Dave, of the new rule that if you started the match serving after the timeout, the initial receiver will come in serving in the second half. Now, if you're already serving, then you'll just maintain your serve. If you're not serving, you'll be in the server's box. I can't remember who served first in this match.
John Pike.
So Abraham will be serving. He won the last point, so he'll be serving anyway.
Now, if you were actually here in the booth to start that match, you would have known that, but you were out suntanning for this 8-minute break that we had.
Actually, I was updating the players on that new rule, and then I went upstairs and updated the referee on that new rule. Unfortunately, I was stopped by about 7 or 8 people, Dave, that wanted to audition for a spot here in the booth, and I said, right now we just don't have any openings. We want to accommodate everyone, but you know, there's only 2 headsets, and
actually there's 4, but we'll go with what you said.
So what you're saying is that I was being dishonest. We do have room in the booth.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying. You're watching the Race for 8, brought to you by Simple Green and the World Players of Handball, streaming live at racefor8.com. We're here at the Tucson Racket Club for qualifier number 3, which is the Doug Clark bracket. The winner of this one will be placed into that blind draw and very well could be pulling your name, Dave. Now, let's say that that person was John Bike. You pulled his name, in the Idaho event, and you're saying since the U.S. Open took place between Idaho and here as race for 8 stop number 2, there are no conflicts, meaning that you could very well play a John Bike again in your opening round. But if, let's say, Idaho took place a couple weeks ago, the rule would be that once your name came up or John Bike's name came up, we'd automatically take your name out of the hat so you guys wouldn't play each other.
That's true, Dave, but since the U.S. Open came in between Idaho and this event, there is an open season. There are no conflicts possible here in this event, so we could very well see myself play John Bike. We could see Armando Ortiz play Charlie Shanks, just as he did in Idaho. These are just things that could happen. Now, the chances of that happening, the probabilities, Dave, I know that you're a math wizard, are not that great.
Actually, it's a 25% chance.
But what would be the chances of that happening back-to-back? Still 25%? What would be the probability?
Well,
is what I'm asking.
It is just 25%. That's it. Now, if you were going to say what's the probability before those two tournaments started,
that's what I was saying.
That's different. You would take the cubed root of 25, and so you would have a little bit harder a chance there. I don't have my calculator out, but
I was actually referring to the cubed root.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, okay. So before that, then there would be a little bit like 1 in 8 chance or something like that. But certainly. We have no conflict, so whatever name is pulled out of the hat tonight. Now, that is a kind of an interesting, and last time we did this, kind of a fun event. It's a gathering of all the pro players. Everybody wants to find out who their first-round matchups are and who plays whom, and it's always been kind of a fun experience. We wish that we can give it to you live so you can see kind of a showing of what that blind draw is all about, but it is certainly one of the most exciting parts of the tournament where everybody gathers around to see who plays who. And the neat thing is some of the players start, they start razzing their oh, you're going to have to play Charlie Shanks, and it's just kind of a fun little thing. But
do they say it like that?
Not really, but you know what I'm talking about.
It's
it's a fun thing. Of course, I've never been a part of that, so I wouldn't know how fun it is.
You've actually never spoken to anyone in this event outside of Facebook. But there's been some changes, Dave, in that 5 through 8 slot. As you mentioned, Dave, the season started with Armando Ortiz in the top 8, Charlie Shanks outside of the top 8. Alan Garner was in that top 4, meaning he had to buy into that round of 8. Now it's Alan Garner in the 5th spot, so he'll be playing one of these qualifiers. Armando Ortiz out of the top 8, already qualified. He'll be playing one of those 5 through 8 guys. Charlie Shanks not having to qualify, and he'll be playing one of the qualifiers. So there's been some transition there, and there'll be even more transition, Dave, after this event. And I know there's only one name that you really care about being bounced out of that top 8. This could very well be your moment. And that's been John's go-to line here in this race season.
That's a wrist ball right there, John called.
An overhand wrist. Haven't seen that.
16-12.
Not a good serve there from Abe, but a worse return. Abe not able to set his feet.
I can see John's back is just terrible right there. He just cannot bend over. And I think, he drove over from the high desert last night, sitting in a car, and then you come out here and start playing, and that sort of does it to you.
I agree with you, Dave. I know that I have a problem with my back that stems from riding in the car. I actually hurt myself on a ride back from New York just 1 week before the HBC 2 last year, sitting in the car. It's actually driving that does it to you more, Dave. My personal trainer actually telling me that having that right foot elevated while you're driving is what causes a lot of those back problems, because your right foot is higher than your left, and when you're driving for an extended amount of time, say 3 hours or more, that really takes its toll on your lower body.
I have not heard that one before.
I had not either. But it certainly makes sense, Dave, because every time now that I do drive for more than 2 or 3 hours, I certainly feel that in the top of my right hip, which is connected to my lower back. Perhaps, as you mentioned, Dave, that could be what's happening here with John Bike. And a lot of times, Dave, as you know, these back injuries might only last a day or 2 days, but unfortunately for John, this is the worst day for it. You know, if he's at a T-ball game, it doesn't really affect him, but he's here at a pro handball event where he needs all that flexibility and movement.
You have to remember, John was up 11-10, and you can see him really stiffening up here, and there was contact made.
You'll never see Abraham Montijo argue any call, Dave. He's one of the greatest gentlemen, I believe, in this sport. He's also one of the greatest promoters of the game. He's got several junior programs, Dave. Tells me that he works with the younger kids from 6 to 7, and then the older kids from 7 to 8:30 a couple times a week, and actually dangles the carrot in front of them, Dave, that if they're good enough and disciplined enough and well-behaved enough, he'll bring them here to the Tucson Racket Club, the holy grail of handball in Tucson, and let them play on these beautiful indoor courts, which is a great treat for those young and aspiring handball players.
He holds that practice on Wednesday nights at Randolph Field, and had the luxury of going out there and helping him instruct 2 Wednesdays ago, and it is amazing what he does with those kids, how he gets them into shape. You know, you would think, oh, the kids are just going out to a ballpark and just hitting handballs around and playing matches with Abe, and they're just goofing off. No, he actually gets them out there. They run military-style drills out onto the on the tennis court. It's unbelievable how he can get 24 kids in one day to come down there, not against their will. They're coming down. They want to come down. They want the discipline, and he's making them run lines, laps. It's unbelievable what he does to get them warmed up before they even go onto the court. It's I can't even put it into words. You have to really watch this youth camp that he has, and he commands so much respect with the young kids.
Abe's a born leader. Fortunate to have him as part of the WPH team. Works as a consultant and also as part of the junior development. Also helps us out, Dave, with the tournament desk at most of our events. Very valuable asset to the organization. And he's also one of the top players. Let's not forget that, as Abe sliding in there into the server's box, mishitting the retrieve, but the ball catches the front wall just about 1.5 inches high, and John Bike, unfortunately, taken out of the server's box.
You're watching the Tucson Race for 8, sponsored by Simple Green, World Players of Handball. Streaming live right there at racefor8.com. Tell your friends and your family members and those that you work alongside, your coworkers, that handball is on the computer, racefor8.com. Punch it in and expose the game, as we say. We have more matches coming up. Of course, after this one, it will be John Iglesias and Andy Nett. That's going to be a fun game to call, Dave.
I'm really looking forward to that, Dave. That's our encore today. We've already seen some great handball. I expect to see our best qualifier match tonight. Just after the conclusion of this match, it'll be John Iglesias, who, believe it or not, Dave, is 4-0 lifetime in tournament play against the Minnesota Dreamboat, Andy Nett. They've played 4 times in the last 3 years. Jonathan Iglesias has won all 4 of those matches in a tiebreaker. It's been Andy Nett, though, Dave, in the last year who's really taken his game to another level by playing in nearly every one of these pro stops where John Iglesias has kind of taken it easy in the last year, Dave. He's been living in Costa Rica and hasn't been traveling the circuit quite as much. We'll see if that makes a difference. Andy Nett has a lot to play for here in this event, Dave. He could jump all the way into the top 8 here after this event, or he could fall out of the top 12. So he's got the most to win or lose here in this event. And we'll talk more about that during our next match. In fact, I'm sure I'll probably say exactly what I just did.
Nice shot right there from John Bike, and it looks like he's working out his back a little bit. I know he's laboring, but look, Dave, we are only 3 points away here. John Bike serving. We're going to 25.
Well, at this point, John has to look at this as a tiebreaker. He's down 3-1 in the tiebreaker, needs to get to 11. We're playing to 25, now needs just 9 more points to win this match. I actually believe, Dave, that this 25-point game will help him at this point. I think if John felt like he had to come back and win a second game and then a tiebreaker, be really no chance. But now seeing Abraham tighten up a little bit here, and now John starting to get that adrenaline going.
Maybe back into a little runner's high situation. John Bike at 17-18, 1 game to 25, and I was literally writing off John Bike here just a few minutes ago. And look at that roll out on the left side wall off the front, Dave.
Absolutely incredible shot there, a flat kill, Dave. I thought that was going to be a skip, but it was a flat mouse. And you could hear the groans from the crowd. Now it's John Bike, the Biker wave, heating up here.
I thought it was short.
I thought it was good.
Well, it doesn't matter till screen.
Dan Armijo calling a screen there. I believe that serve was about 2 feet to the right of John Bike, and it hopped away from him.
Well, we can take a look at the instant replay, Dave, if you want to. There's a nice.
I didn't know we had an instant replay.
Well, of course we do.
I just didn't know if it was working yet.
Well, it's always been working.
Okay, well, I would like to take a look at that then.
And here's a replay of that serve. There's John's.
Looks like an ace serve here, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Seattle WAC team member either, Dave.
That's a nice replay right there, brought to you by Tucson Rolling Shutters. The scoreboard provided by Zions, the official sports drink of the UFC.
And what we missed, Dave, was the second half of that 42-shot rally ended with a flat kill from Abe Montijo. And Dave, I think even you'll agree that that serve was not short, nor was it a screen. And I don't like that serve from Abraham there, and a terrible return from John Bike, as that serve checked up well off that right side wall. Abe, not the right shot there, and he dives in. He'll have to stay down here, though, and John fortunate to catch that left wall crack, because that ball was right back into Abe's wheelhouse had it not stayed down. John Bike trying to hit that shot straight down the left wall would have been an easy winner there.
This looks like it's going to come down to the very end here, Dave. And there's a point for John Bike, now up 19-18, and it looked like he was down for the count.
Well, this is why he's a Hall of Famer, Dave, but you also see Abraham's style completely change here as we see a broken ball, but Abraham now not at all relaxed. He doesn't look like he's in his comfort zone the way he was in the middle of this first game. Looks like he's very stiff. He's become very defensive-minded here.
Now Ashley Moeller, who's running the tournament desk, is going to hand these players a new ball since it broke.
Ashley Moeller thinking, Dave, that she was on a break, but the job never ends as the tournament desk chairman.
These guys are really pounding the heck out of these balls out here, Dave.
Actually, right now, Dave, it's just John Bike pounding the ball and Abraham just retrieving, and that's Abe's biggest weakness, Dave, is when the game gets close, he goes into retrieval mode, into that defensive, I hope that my opponent misses mode, rather than staying aggressive and blasting the ball.
Okay, this is a new ball. John Bike has an amazing serve. What is he going to do with it?
Well, John Bike's now really starting to loosen up and swing freely with that left. I'd like to see, or I'd expect to see John Bike going with that natural down the right behind himself, hopping the ball away from Abraham and looking for that first strike on the next shot. John also can hit that hard two-wall serve pretty well. I expect to see John stand in the middle of the court here and serve this power serve behind himself to the right. I believe this will be a little bit of a natural.
Ooh.
And John nearly hits that in the floor, down the left.
Now he's going to have to change all of what you just said to play a little bit more.
This ball seems a little bit flat and dead. We saw the new ball come out at 22-20 in the last match between Daniel Cordova and Dan Armijo, and it was very lively. This ball looks very flat and dead, even a little bit lopsided. And an amazing shot there from John Bike. There's nobody in the world, Dave, that can hit that shot with the consistency and the accuracy that John Bike can, and he hits it at 19-18 to make it 20-18 in this critical juncture.
That ball eats Abe up too. Oh,
and John catches the crack there, and a good call there from Abraham as that ball just does bounce twice before he can get his hand underneath it. And John Bike now had about 1.5 feet in the handball grave, and now instead he's just 4 points. Make that.
I like that shot right there from John Bike. Abe's unable to pull it out now.
Make that 3 points. I was holding my breath there, Dave, as I didn't think Abe would return that serve, but John hits the 2-wall pass there. And that's what you see, Dave, from some of these veteran players. They're not afraid to go to the 2-wall pass when they have a setup. You see so many of these youngsters, Dave, just try and knock the front wall over, hitting the ball as low as they can. Never think to go to that 2-wall pass, but the 2-wall pass, so effective, Dave. And let's take a quick instant replay of that last point from John Bike as you see him stretching out right in front of our booth here. This is actually the 360 cam, Dave. We follow the players all around the club during the timeouts. But Dave, that 2-wall pass not only...
Let's watch it here. I like the replays are from that. There's that 2-wall part. It was at the very end there. You saw the ball clip that right side wall, and I like when our instant replays are up here looking down. It's a different perspective than what we saw live. We just give you the instant replay from the overhead cam.
But I believe, Dave, that 2-wall pass not only earns John the point there, but that'll set him up to hit a couple kill shots here towards the end of this first game, as Abraham will have to play more back on his heels, protecting against that 2-wall pass, and that'll open up those corner kills and the front wall kills from John Bike, making him a little bit more easy to execute.
Now we saw John Bike go up 11-10 here, but then he fell behind 12-18, and now he is up 22-18 against Abraham Montijo, and a lot of Bike's struggles have come from an early pre-game warm-up routine that he has where he tweaked his back and he was unable to walk at one point, and he said, you know, it's frustrating, and he drove all the way over here and just all of a sudden just turned wrong and hurt his back.
It's been a combination, Dave, of Abraham's level dropping and John Bike elevating his game, and some of that coming, Dave, from sort of that runner's high that you mentioned. He's got that surge of adrenaline, and it's alleviated some of that pain, but also John Bike feeling a lot more confident and feeling like he can win because Abraham's level has dropped so dramatically.
Now waiting for the referee to get back into...
I believe the score is 22-18.
Yeah,
22 serves 18.
John Bike 3 points away for qualifying again.
And now John really starting to hit the ball well. Oh, great get there from Abraham. And it was a beautiful back wall kill from John. Abe goes into the back wall first.
Wow.
That was poor court positioning there from Abraham, Dave. I believe he should have moved around John behind him, gotten himself back into the center of the court. Instead, he pins himself on John's left hip and really has no play on any shot that John hits from there.
John Bike 2 points away from qualifying here. Hits the crack.
Just an incredible serve there from John Bike, Dave.
Now here it is. John Bike 1 point away from qualifying and defeating the local homegrown legend in his own making, Abraham Montijo. Here it is, game point. Wow, that ball just ate him up too.
Abraham now has outscored 12-0 here.
Look where John is putting Abe defensively, right on the back wall. That's 4 straight back wall shots here. That's the first opportunity Abe had. John just hopped the ball big time and misses that. front wall shot right there, and that has to be frustrating. That was 4 straight balls that John put Abe right on the back wall.
Well, John's defensive game is absolutely sublime.
It's unbelievable. Abe's out of the picture here, and we're looking right down at the back wall.
18-24.
And the first chance Abe had, John hops it away. Abraham back in the service box here. And now it's a side out. John serving again to win.
And this is very similar, Dave, to what happened in race stop number 1, as Abraham had a big lead against Desi Keegan and ended up completely falling apart. Desi Keegan winning that match, and now it's John Bike doing pretty much the same thing, trailing 18-12. It was Desi Keegan also trailing 18-12 against Abe, and came back to win that 1-game match at 25. So Abe Montijo, Dave, will have to go back to the mental drawing board and figure out what's causing him to give up these huge leads when it seems like he's on the verge of winning these big matchups.
And John Bike is going to have to wait one more time unless Abe scores out here.
18-24.
Now remember, you have to win by 2. So Abe needs to pull within at least a point to keep things going here. Those are the type of shots that hurt John.
Big setup here for John.
You see John, look at his body English. It's absolutely terrible. If we can, I'd like to take a look at it, but we're also on game point here. Okay. So let's stay without going to the replay.
Good call.
But you can see that his body English was bad during that last rally. I mean, he's trying to win this one on guts. So he can go back home, and he does it right there. John Bike qualifies one more time, and he is happy, but unfortunately he's paying the price. John Bike defeating Abraham Montijo 25-18. We have another match coming up right around the corner. I think John is just completely spent, exhausted, and his back is sore. And there is a picture of him talking to his son.
And how incredible, Dave, for John Bike to be able to have not only his father, but his son old enough to appreciate his dad playing at such an incredible level and really battling through, Dave, what was really a debilitating back injury here, and somehow winning this match and qualifying. Dave, we didn't think early on that John even had an opportunity to be competitive here in this match, but John not only is competitive, he ends the game on a 13-0 scoring run and takes out the local favorite and the local hero, Abraham Montijo, dashing his hopes of qualifying here at his hometown stop.
I'm not going to get onto the excuse train here, but you have to recall that Abraham Montijo had to go to the doctor twice because of an ailing shoulder, though it did not look like he was feeling the pains of that, but certainly toward the end of that the match there, Dave, Abraham Montijo, not the same Abraham that we saw in the first round and the first part of this qualifying round. The Doug Clark bracket we have coming up right around the corner. The next qualifier, Andy Nett versus John Iglesias. That'll be in about 15 minutes from now. If you can, do yourself and Handball a favor as well as us. Go online, get on your smartphone, find your favorite social network site, print out, send out to your email list the fact that Handball is being shown on the internet. This is our last broadcast match of the day, and then we start early tomorrow at 9:45 with a blind draw versus you. And as we do this live webcast here from Tucson, Arizona. So please let them know about race48.com. We're going to take a quick time out for Linda Manning, as well as Omar Lemus and the broadcast partner here, Dave Fink. My name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back in just a bit. Stick with us here at race48.com.
I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Our non-toxic, biodegradable, all-purpose cleaner works great for cleaning it.
Once you find changes.
Thank you. Non-toxic, biodegradable, Simple Green. It's great for cleaning.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Zions, extreme science for your active lifestyle.
For 20 years, the Inner City Handball Association has helped teen athletes accomplish their dreams. Help us continue our work. Donate today. Thank you.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.